Hey, Tonya.
Hey.
Ooh, wait, hit my life.
Hit your life.
Hit my life. Oh, shoot.
Oh, I know him.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I do.
I don't know how these computers work.
yeah.
Click that.
This is
You?
my clothing. That's what's
Oh,
happening.
look at that.
Ah.
So now you
Gotcha.
can just.
And we're
Ooh, we're gonna be
still
real close.
now just
Well, I'm
getting
gonna
Oh
go
my
back. I just needed that. Is it on?
That's insane. That is just insane.
I didn't know that you guys were BFFs.
I wouldn't go that far.
Sounds like it.
We took a class together,
BFFs.
and
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, look at us.
Team BFF.
So we're getting
Maybe
ready
we
here.
should switch. Maybe me and Wade should switch spots.
Oh,
Why?
she's
Oh,
in
I
a
need to
fighting
separate
mood.
it too?
She's in a nasty mood. Golly, I didn't do
It looks like maybe that's
anything.
what we have access to.
I'm just sitting here, and my BFF's being mean. Nasty.
Oh, my heavens. Look at all this stuff I have to do.
What is all that?
Well, maybe we'll do yours next time.
Yeah. Oh,
Alright.
I didn't turn off my.
You can share.
Yeah, you can share ours.
I didn't turn off my Wi-Fi. It's the worst.
Oh, damn it, Amanda.
I know.
All right.
It gets all blurry.
Let me get my
Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, y'all.
So we're finally ready.
Sorry, the newbies.
So far, we're
It's
not
okay.
doing good with our resolution.
I was cracking the whip
She was, and
at
it's all Carl's.
2:30, and then 2:40, and then 4 minutes,
Yes.
She was too. I'm not.
and
Hey,
no one.
this Jenny,
Mine's actually
drink your
pretty
wine.
good.
It was Carl's fault.
I'm gonna do what Carl said.
I can't turn my Wi-Fi off now, can I?
Well, no, because it's gonna disconnect you.
Yeah.
I DK.
Um,
So
Should I turn it off and then
it's
go
my
live again?
Wednesday. Yeah, you think? Yeah. You can delete
So
the
it's
other.
not blurry.
So, Jenny, what is the topic today?
Today's
Today's
topic
topic.
is. It's really exciting. Drum roll, please. Condos versus single-family homes.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
What's the benefits? What's not? Which
What's
one
the
choose,
difference? What do you gotta be
Who
prepared
lives in
for?
what?
Who
And
owns
why?
what? Yeah. So today we're gonna give you the
Do any of us
lowdown.
live in a condo?
I have a few condo rentals that I
Okay.
Carl owns some.
Yeah.
He's a mogul.
He's a
Yeah.
real estate mogul, that
I had
Carl.
to stop my video.
Oh,
when
go
we started
on.
it.
Oh, jeez.
You little braggart. Now he's talking about all his real estate success.
Oh, jeez. I'm shaking now. Look at me shaking.
Oh, my God. We're making
It's earthquake.
Everyone's getting nauseated.
Everybody's like been tipping in the wine.
And we have not been drinking yet. We
No.
just
We literally just
started. This is
Yes.
just really
Yes.
first glass of wine. So anyway, let's wait for Amanda to
You
get.
don't have to wait for
Well,
me.
yeah, because you don't want to like start the conversation too late.
So, are we waiting on Carl or are we waiting on Amanda?
Now we're waiting on
Now
you.
we're waiting on Amanda. I think
My video was just too fuzzy.
what I honestly
really
think
bad.
is we should just fly by the seat of the pants like we normally do.
That's what we do.
I know.
That's
Instead
how
of
we
trying to be prepared, I'm saying this New Year's resolution we had set is now in
It's officially over.
trash it. We trashed it.
We trashed our resolution.
We trashed
Well,
our resolution.
you know what?
3 weeks into it.
It is now January 23rd.
Time for those resolutions to go out the window.
Yes.
Forget that 30-minute window of getting ready. We're
That's
just
right.
going to do
Forget
it
it.
the usual 5 minutes before.
Forget it. All right. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. You gotta make the
Clink,
noise.
clink, 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 clink. Oh, almost spilled on the
Ooh,
MacBook.
I would have got it.
Nope, I
So
don't.
yeah, so as we said, we're talking about condos versus single family, and it's not always the same.
No.
You know, they may, you may find a freestanding condo, but it may look like
That's a whole
house.
nother layer of stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole nother layer of
Confusion.
yeah.
So I
But
think
it's
that
nice. It's nice.
freestanding
You get more
though,
privacy with the
Right.
benefits
You do,
of.
and I think that they tend to have lower condo fees.
They do.
yes,
There
because
is.
there's less.
Because they don't cover
The
your
roof and
roof
stuff
and
like
things
that.
like yeah.
I think they just take care of the
Like
maintenance
the
on the outside.
like your yard.
The
and things.
common area usually. Oftentimes they'll do the yard, but they won't do like flowers and stuff in
Right.
your landscaping.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that's a good first jumping off point here. So, you know, condos, you're gonna pay a monthly fee. And one of the big things you need to find out is what are you paying for in that fee?
Monthly fee in addition to
Yes,
your mortgage, taxes, insurance.
yes. So in the MLS, or if you're looking on Realtor.com, it'll list on there usually what the condo association fee is. And so if you have a certain budget you're gonna spend per month and you're looking at condos, then you need to know how much of that are you gonna spend on your payment.
Right.
And it can range widely. I mean, from as little as maybe $99, $100 up, and we've seen condos for $1,000. So, yeah.
So downtown.
Yeah, the building downtown
Yeah.
has, like, you can buy the condo for 20 grand, but the
Yeah.
fees are gonna be.
Well, yeah, the Summit Chase building.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you get security,
Right.
you get a doorman. There's
Right.
a lot of things that come with that.
They're not 20
Depends
grand, by
on-
the way.
Yeah, I'm not 20 grand anymore. Maybe they were.
They're like
10 years
100 now.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
They have-
Maybe we're talking about a different building.
No, Summit
Summit
Chase.
Chase.
I might be talking about something else.
She might be on a different building.
I might be in a different place.
Yeah, Summit Chase.
I could have
You
made it
still
up
would've-
too.
You
You
can,
know what
you can
happened?
maybe occasionally get in there for like 70,000, but they don't have balconies. Like,
Yeah.
so, and then you just kind of feel like you're trapped.
Yeah, but that's a good point though. With condos, you gotta, don't look at the price. If the price is low, you gotta look and see what else is involved
The
there.
condos,
Because
yeah. I just showed a condo the other day that the condo fees were like $530
Whoa,
a
where?
month in Upper Arlington. But it's a $200,000 condo,
So
but
what was-
1,200 square feet.
What was
But most of
included
the
in
time,
the fee?
a lot of times when they're that high, it'll include your utilities. Like the
No.
Summit Chase one we were
It
talking
doesn't.
about included cable, electric,
Mhm.
everything. You didn't have other utilities.
It's definitely
They
something.
actually had just raised the condo fee like $200 in 2019 because they plan to do
Roofs.
They plan to do the roofs. They plan to do just like a lot of brickwork and the streets and things like that. So they obviously, like when you own a condo, your condo fees can always go up or down. They put all of your money into basically like an escrow account, and then they use those funds to pay for the repairs around your condo.
Mhm.
well, that's a good point too. Because if you're interested in a condo before you buy, you want to see the documents, the balance sheet. You want to
Yeah.
make sure
Yep.
that they have the right amount of reserves. And then if
And
they,
is it
if
time
they
for
don't
this-
have the right reserves, you may not be able to use FHA financing. So you got to really look at that for the benefit of being in a condo. There's
Yeah.
you have
I
to look
didn't
at that.
realize that's why I couldn't go FHA.
Well, FHA,
Well,
they
it's
have
not
to be
the
only-
FHA
Okay.
approved.
Yeah.
Like, so for the condo to be financed FHA, it has to be a FHA
Right,
approved
right.
community.
Yeah.
But what FHA is looking at is just that. They're looking at reserves, the health of the association, not more than 50% of the units
Rental.
rented.
Yeah.
More than 50% have to be owner occupied. So, your loan type, and that's another good segue.
Yeah, you
in
hit
this,
on a
is
couple
that-
of things there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ding ding.
Ding,
Ding ding ding.
So, but yeah,
Got
so
girls
no,
here.
some condos you won't be able to do FHA or VA. VA is the same way. There's certain requirements for the association.
Right.
A lot of times associations, it's a cumbersome process, so they don't want to go through it. And so a lot of associations just aren't FHA approved. So check on that if you have one of those loan types as you're purchasing.
I've noticed that condos are more likely to go VA than FHA.
Really?
Have you seen that?
I just had an FHA, excuse me, I had a listing and it was a VA buyer. And it was very similar requirements on getting the condo approved, but an association had no interest in going through that process.
Can the association be FHA, not approved for FHA,
Yes.
but approved for VA?
Yes, it's
Is that
separate
another,
approval.
so does the
Yeah.
VA have a separate site to see if it's
sep-
approved?
That's a good question.
Because HUD, it does have FHA,
Yeah.
but I wonder if VA.
They're different government.
Any
entities.
lenders out there
Yeah.
know the
I
answer to
think they're
that?
different government entities, so it's gonna be up to that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
So if
And
you're
that's,
buying
like, and
right,
that's like really getting into
Oh,
specifics.
yeah. So just check on your current situation and what your loan type is, and know that not all condos are going to work. Now, having that been said, a lot of lenders have alternate programs that you can use. If you're an FHA buyer, there's a
Mhm.
lot of condos that have
Like a 3%
3%,
conventional.
yeah, exactly, that you can use alternative financing, if that was your current situation. So don't necessarily rule it out, but just know that it might not be.
So those are all the watch out points, but the benefits of condo living is carefree living from the things that you have a house with mowing the lawn,
Mhm.
painting the outside on many of them, all those upkeep things that you have to have money for yourself.
Siding.
Expense, siding, roofs,
Mhm.
typically, if
Like-
they're standalone, like Amanda said, you might be responsible for the whole house.
Your yard
Yeah.
care,
Your care and like steps and sidewalk, or I would assume sidewalks.
All of those are in the common area. So condos, typically you own the drywall in.
Right.
So, you know, if it's on the other side of the drywall, you can in most cases think it like that, is that other side of the drywall is not my responsibility.
And
inside the drywall, that's mine.
A lot of time I get people asking windows. So windows are
And that's
inside and out, but windows are
variable, yeah.
usually homeowners.
Doors.
Yeah,
good one.
Yeah.
Good one, Jenny.
Thank
Yes,
you.
standing doors, yes.
But they
But
I
make
contributed.
requirements on what windows you're gonna get. So it's like you have to work through the association, and it's not just like you can't go to XYZ window company and say, I wanna pick out my windows.
Right, they have specifics
Very
on what
specific,
kind.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And-
You run into this?
Oh,
The
yeah,
ones you
I'm
own? Yeah.
I'm on the condo board for one of the
Oh.
associations.
Mr.
so-
President.
No, I'm not president, I'm just on the board, I'm not worthy of president, you know. But yeah, there are rules and restrictions that you have to follow, so if you're someone who's eclectic and you want a purple door, you're probably not gonna get a purple door.
And these are the trade-offs, right? You know, it's like, if you want a private yard, condo probably not for you. If you wanna paint your exterior, and even some normal, single-family developments
Yeah.
have codes on what you can paint
Sure.
color-wise and
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Right,
So just make sure, if you have these wants and needs, that you're getting into something and you understand. And this is why you put in the contract, as I think Carl said earlier,
Yes.
the right to review condo documents, because, you know, if you don't put those contingencies in and then you find out later, maybe you have a dog that's over 40 pounds, you know, and the association doesn't allow big dogs. Well, guess what?
Or rentals.
If you don't have the contingency written in there, then, you know, yeah, rentals is another big one. Like, do they allow you to rent the property? Because I think a lot of people buy condos as a first time thing, and they think, okay, well, when I move out, I'm just gonna keep it and then I'm gonna rent it out. Well, clearly, I mean, that's possible because Carl does it, but it depends on.
Well, I had
Yeah.
a condo listed and the association had just changed because when you are listing a condo, oftentimes you'll get calls from investors, people looking to purchase it as a rental. And the condo association had just changed the rules. There would be rentals grandfathered in that were already rentals, but they were not allowing
Not new.
anymore. They would allow you to rent
Because
a
they
family
knew the
member, but
50%,
only for
yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was, you definitely, and even though you are getting what's current for the docs, make sure you're asking those questions as well, because maybe something has changed or something is going to be changing.
And I think a lot of people think of condos as like these big condo developments with like 50 units or more in them. But condo doesn't always have to be that big. There are condos with 4 units and a building, and it
There's-
has its own association.
Well, we were
Yeah,
talking
I
about it
have
on
them too.
the podcast, yeah, downtown, there would be a condo association, it
Yeah,
would
they
have been a duplex,
Yeah.
but now it's a condo,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
Exactly.
And understand what you're getting. And in those situations, it might be there is no association, and then when the roof or something exterior needs, you've got to work with the other part of that ownership group, whether it's one other or 3 others or however many.
Yeah, attached
Right.
single family. is
Right,
something
that you're gonna
too.
have to figure out between you, and that can be,
Possibly contentious.
yes, good way to put it.
Because
Good way to
sometimes
put
Have you
it.
had experience with that?
You
I
just
know.
replace like half a roof.
Well, it's like even you used to have a shared driveway,
Right,
and
right.
it's the same concept.
Yeah.
When the driveway needs sealed or repaired or replaced,
Replaced.
and the neighbor
Doesn't
doesn't want to do it, what are you gonna do? Like, so it's
Nothing.
like,
You pay for it.
I'm
Yeah.
replacing
You
my
just don't do
half,
it. Yeah.
just split it right up the middle.
yeah,
Don't drive on my side.
Yeah.
and so
Another thing to go back to rentals though, a lot of the time there will be, you can only rent out like say 10 units and the whole development can be
Right.
rentals. And if it's already reached that capacity, you have to wait until one of the rentals falls off and then you could,
right.
I think you apply for
And
it.
That's
so.
a good point.
And that seems, it seems like once it's a rental, it's probably gonna stay
Yeah,
that
unless
way.
they wanna sell it,
And
which happens.
unless they change
Yeah.
and someone moves in,
But these are all the things just to look out for, because owning condos is great.
It
A lot of
sounds,
people-
it sounds
You get
intimidating. like-
the insurance is less to cover.
It's like a rentals policy,
to Wayne's
right?
point,
It
It's
is
like a rental
somewhat.
property, but it's
a little bit more.
owner occupant condo is different than a rental
Uh-huh.
property. But so it's in between like a home and a rental policy. But like Wayne said, you're responsible for the drywall in, so all the flooring, the appliances, cabinets.
Yeah, and then you have to think about,
mechanicals.
you have to make sure that you ensure your electrical, your plumbing, and things like that as well.
And the one thing I've noticed, and we talked about the other day, is that as buildings start to age, typically that's when you really need to pay attention to the health. I mean, you always need to pay attention to the health of the association. But as buildings start to age, we talked about this a little bit a few minutes ago. But as the building starts to age and, roofs are maybe 20, 25 years, HVAC, 10, 15 years kind of thing. And if that's your own responsibility inside a condo. But when you're starting to get older units, they're gonna start running into more expensive repairs. And what happens when the money's not there to pay for those repairs is you get an assessment. There's a condo development here in Dublin called Carlwell Village, and they had some major structural issues with the way the property was built. They put cedar shingles on the roof that needed replaced, and Dublin is particular about what goes back on. If it was cedar shingles, they wanted cedar shingles to go back. Like, they did talk them out of that and ended up with something different, but it still just wasn't like a less expensive roof.
Yeah.
And then they had to deal with the structural issues. Well, what happens, the association didn't have anywhere near the amount of money it took to pay for all of that. So each homeowner gets an assessment, where there's 100 units, or maybe it's by square footage, they add up and they just give you this massive assessment in those situations. And some people it goes on like as an extra tax bill, or it's a lien on the property, so that when you sell the property, if that's not paid off, someone else, you're passing that debt on to someone else, so it affects your property's value. Or I don't know what happens if, maybe you're in an association and you can't pay the assessment if there's not that kind of arrangement.
And then there's that community in Dublin that had the balcony fall off, and they are now in lawsuit. I mean, the association's being sued. Yeah, so you can't sell now. No, these are horror stories, obviously. Like, it's not common, and we're just on a tangent.
Right.
Yeah.
But on a less extreme, as they age, be mindful. Just like if you bought a 20 to 30 year old or older single family home and you're gonna have to replace the roof, you're still gonna have to come up with the money when that happens. In this situation,
but
just know that your dues aren't always going to pay for I think people go in and say, I'm paying $300 a month, and
So
that's all I'm ever
They
gonna
can
have to
yeah,
pay.
because if there's a major thing that happens, everyone in the community
Dues
is changed.
So what
And,
happens
I mean,
is,
I've heard that they can go down, but I
They
don't know.
they
that-
can, and I don't think that
they can
happens.
very
Like your property tax.
if your reserves are really high,
Could
they'll
go
go
down.
down, but not really. But
Right.
But not
I haven't seen it. I've never seen them go down.
Not happening.
But what they typically do, if they have insurance, the association for like, if you have like a
Hail
tornado
damage or
fire or
Yeah.
something. But what they typically do, if you have like 10 units that are in the complex, they kind of rotate. Like, these two are getting roofs this year, these two are getting roofs this
I
year.
see.
So that's not a
Yeah.
huge
Burden.
outlay. So
But
that's
you
something
want to see the
ask.
plan.
You want to ask, because every time a condo is listed, agents like us have access to who the association is and the contact. So just make sure you look into that, or make sure your agent's looking into that to make sure that you are aware of what you're getting into.
And is the association professionally managed, or is it managed by a resident or someone in the community? Or is it just the president of the HOA's, kind of gotten stuck with dealing with all of it? Professional management, especially once you get over 4 units, seems almost a necessity, because who's got time to deal with all
I
of
feel
that?
like if you're paying like a high amount of money, then it's usually a company or a professional that's doing it.
But
I've seen like a few people that buy single family homes that it's like a somebody that lives in the neighborhood, just try to keep it together.
Yeah.
That's
The
true.
freestanding condo communities will tend to be a property management company, but they've got lower, like we were saying, they've got lower fees too, but
And less
it will
maintenance that they're
usually
dealing with.
be,
Right.
So, but I mean, again, back to the positive side of it is, it depends on your life situation and what you want. A lot of, single people like condos because, they're in the mode of maybe transitioning from apartment living to home ownership, and that's a nice step, from an apartment. Or maybe you're downsizing and you had the yard and
Yep.
you had all that stuff. I mean, that's what we
Yeah,
were looking
that's
at.
my next move.
Yeah, well,
And-
it makes sense to me. Like,
Right.
it does. When I'm out showing homes or condos with people, I'm like, I can do that. I get it. Like, I
Yeah.
understand. It's
But there's a
just
trade-off.
benefits to both.
You know, you
yeah.
could have someone above you, below you, or on either side, or all the above.
Mhm.
Like, you know, so,
Mhm.
you
A
know,
lot of
and can
times
you
they-
live with that?
If you travel a lot, so someone's taking care of your
Yes.
yard and things like that,
That's
so
a
you don't
good-
have to worry about it.
Well, the other thing and I noticed this with a client over the summer, be wary of where parking is as well. You know, sometimes these communities, they're beautiful and they're small and they've got a spot for you, but
Is there
if you
guest
have
parking?
guests,
Yeah.
it might be a mile away.
Well, there's
you
one right by where we
Might be
used to
good.
live at High Banks.
I have to Uber
Just
from the parking
where the
lot.
Tim Hortons is, off of Lizelle and Route 23, just at the Delaware County line. Beautiful condos. And you're
Mhm.
right, there was a garage and one off-street spot,
Mhm.
but literally not an ounce of guest parking.
Mhm.
So if you like to entertain,
Yeah. Be
or
mindful.
just have
Mhm.
friends over, you know, like,
Now, that's not to say that doesn't happen with single family as well,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they're specifically thinking of a house in Grandview, that was the reason the people were selling, was because there was nowhere for them to park. It was on the main Grandview Avenue, and
I wonder which house you're
yeah,
talking about.
I wonder which one.
But yeah, so you know, but condos, you know, again, as scary as maybe made it sound, there's a lot of benefit. You
I'd
know.
do it.
The fact that you could pay someone a fee
Mm-hmm.
and just call someone and say fix it, you know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that's huge.
Mhm.
You know, and
Now, when they get around to it.
well, I mean, if they're
most
professionally
will be
managed,
fine.
most of the
Yeah,
time.
it'll be not.
Did
as-
someone
I
ask,
mean, I
who's
assume
going
it's
on the
better-
end? Did someone ask a question?
I bet I'm sure it's like
Oh.
more than like a apartment.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So,
Is this our friend?
it is not Nebrea. It is Patience.
Okay.
And she is my friend Lynn. I don't know if you guys, but so anyway, she's our friend too.
We're getting
She
convoluted.
watches, yeah. So she watches all the time, and they're going to be locating to the area.
Oh, cool.
So
okay.
yeah, I'm excited for that. So she says, having experienced both high-rise condo living and having a single-family home, single-family housing has been way better for me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely personal preference.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, you know, like I
It sounds like
prefer,
maybe she was in a condo before. and,
Yeah.
like-
Well, yeah, you guys are in a condo
Condos.
now, right? I mean, they're in Pittsburgh. Remind me, I'm forgetting off the tip because it's pressure, and it's wine, and all of a sudden I'm really hot.
That's what happens to me when I start getting.
Yeah,
nervous.
yeah. So, but they're in a condo now, so
Yeah, some people just really like the low maintenance. I think of condos, and
Yeah.
I
I
can
think
see.
that's what it
I see
was.
the plus side for both of them. Like I have a really small yard, but you know, if I had a really big yard, then it'd be like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Even with the small
Oh,
yard, you still gotta
Philadelphia.
really
I'm
know it.
sorry. Yeah, they're in Philadelphia and condo first. So
Some of
yeah.
them are like, the community itself is so nice, so they have the pool and tennis courts
yeah,
and the
cool.
workout
That's another thing we
facility.
haven't touched on.
And then those goats, they have the goat restaurants
Oh,
right
yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have goats.
there.
Well, that was what I thought too. I'm like,
Baby
Yeah, just
goats?
walking around the community.
Where?
They eat the grass. They eat the grass for you.
I want to go.
they save money on lawn
Me
care
and
by
Megan
having
like
goats.
drive
goats.
around all the condo communities looking for goats.
That
I
girl
know it's
lied.
lifestyle communities. I think. is
Yeah,
the-
it's
Yeah.
lifestyle
Yeah,
communities.
I go to the goat.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone
I
who
don't
goes
live there,
loves
but-
it.
Greatest of
I
all
do.
time.
I hope people do. Like, but yeah. So, anyways, I think we've kind of hit on. Have we forgotten something about condos or? I can't think of anything else. But if you do come up with questions, of course, you know where to find us. Message here.
Yeah.
Look us up on our websites.
Mhm. So that, I mean, we are currently working. Wayne
You
is
can go
working
look
away
at it right now.
little Mr. Techie that he is.
www.re.com, and if you missed an episode or you are considering buying or selling and you know you have some questions, there's a lot of good content on there from past Wine Wednesdays.
So it's wine, WW and RE, Wine Wednesday and Real Estate. But don't type out Wine Wednesday and Real Estate because someone
'cause
stole that from us.
Someone stole it from us. So,
Oh.
lesson learned.
Well,
It's with the attorneys right now. She can't really.
you
say.
know, it's a whole thing.
But,
Can't really talk
so,
about it.
but check us
We
out.
don't-
Send a message. We're here every Wednesday, 3 p.m.
Podcast available?
Oh yes, podcast is already up on iTunes, so we're starting to do the podcast on Mondays. So if you missed part of the episode, or you want to listen in the car, or you just like to sit on the couch and hear our lovely voices,
Duh, who doesn't?
it's in the iTunes and the Android, Apple, or Android, Google Play Store. So
And-
they're free. So. And
Flash briefings.
all right, we're working on that. We'll have that
We'll
soon
have
for
that
your
up and running,
Alexas.
too. Yep.
So we are getting real techie up in here. So
We're getting real.
so
Nerd.
yeah,
Real.
right, yeah,
Hey,
That's great.
yes. So if you want us, we're out there.
We're out there somewhere.
And until then,
Come
we
find
will
us.
see you next
Not in a
Wednesday.
creepy way.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks
Carl.
for
Oh, we
being
never even
Carl.
introduced Carl. This is Carl.
Introduce him as Carl. It's Carl.
People are like, who's that other guy? We never said. Sorry about that.
I think we did.
Yeah,
Well, we just started talking.
You blame me for the late meeting.
I
so-
did. It's Carl's fault. It's all Carl's fault.
Sassy today I am.